Amazing woman discovers unexpected love with a black mechanic after secretly plotting for 3 years. Jenna stood in front of the mechanic's shop, her heart racing with uncertainty. It wasn't just any garage. It was the one owned by Marcus, the very man who could change everything she thought she knew about herself, her choices, and her outlook. For 3 long years, she had been raising her children and holding on to a dream of opening a community health clinic, a sanctuary for the citizens of her small Midwestern town. The weight of that ambition rested heavily on her shoulders, and now, standing outside the shop, she felt the tension squeezing her chest. She didn't just fear for her future, she feared judgment from family, friends, and the very community she called home. The voice in her head echoed societal expectations. What would they say if they saw her now, lingering outside a mechanic's shop, eyeing a man who didn't fit the mold? As her aged car sputtered and wheezed, its final breath escaped in a puff of smoke, Jenna cursed her luck. It was a trap she couldn't afford. She had vowed to break free from the confines of mediocrity, saving every excess dollar for her ambitious project. But was that dream worth risking everything, and most importantly, the lives of her children? She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, unease creeping into her thoughts. What if meeting Marcus entangled her in a reality that forced her to reconsider her path? Then their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them, a current of connection that both startled and pulled at her. Marcus was smudged with grease, but had a spark, a presence so alive it terrified her. She glanced around, half expecting judgmental glares, but no one seemed to care about her presence, or about him. She let out a breath, fighting the immediate urge to turn away. Jenna felt a swell of admiration, but also a tightening in her chest. Conflicted emotions raced, tangled up with anxiety over what her friends would say. This town was not as forgiving as she wished it could be. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Marcus's charm and understanding ignited something in Jenna, but as he took a few steps toward her, her heart plummeted. What if skirting romance with him sent ripples of disapproval crashing down? She envisioned her family's faces, bewildered by the moves she might make. Their narrow-minded views nearly boxed her in, dictated how she should live. The clinic she dreamed of building suddenly seemed a distant fantasy, as if it were tied to the same stigma Marcus battled. As they began speaking, his laughter filled the air, genuine and warm against the stark chill of her doubts. But the way he looked at her, studying her, chipped at her facade. What if he knew her hesitation was rooted in fear? In his eyes, she saw the struggles of a man shadowed by prejudice, yet determined to break through barriers. The honesty in his voice cut through her tension, inviting her to confront the walls she had built around herself. Would she dare to stand beside him against the chaotic pressures of their small town? Everything started to blur. Her dreams, her misgivings, and the whispers of her upbringing swirled together, challenging her identity. Suddenly, the world around her felt both unsettling and electric. As the distance melted, both Jenna and Marcus became embroiled in a shared war against the judgments cast upon them. Her mouth felt dry, and doubt ravaged her confidence. Standing at the threshold of her past and future, Jenna clutched tightly to her last shred of courage, torn between comfort and the promise of untamed potential. Jenna inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with the scent of motor oil and rubber. The ambiance inside the shop was a stark contrast to the turmoil in her mind. It was a space where dreams could be crafted and futures shaped, a place that felt charged with possibility. As Marcus continued to speak, His earnest passion about his work came alive, pulling her in. Each word he shared wove the fabric of his identity, a narrative of resilience and hard work that resonated with her own aspirations. Yet Jenna's apprehension loomed larger than the mechanic's tools. She knew that associating with Marcus might be construed as reckless. Her heart raced as she thought of her professional ambitions. Would their relationship be a distraction or an anchor? She couldn't shake the worry that giving in to these feelings would jeopardize the community clinic she had envisioned for years. What if this burgeoning connection blurred the lines she had so carefully drawn around her life? "What's it like being your own boss?" she asked, her voice steady, even as her pulse quickened, desperate to learn more about him without revealing too much of her own turmoil. Marcus's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "It's challenging but rewarding. It's like steering a ship through a storm. You learn to navigate, adapt, and keep your destination in sight." His words sparked something within her. She had longed for that sense of control, for the ability to direct her own vessel. As their conversation flowed, she found herself laughing, real laughter that came from a place of genuine interest. It felt new and life-giving, and for a moment she allowed herself to lean into that moment. It was exhilarating to connect with someone who seemed to understand the complexities of ambition and the weight of societal expectations. But as they shared stories, a shift occurred. Uncertainty crept back in. What if her interest in Marcus was a mere escape from her reality? She couldn't afford to lose herself to reckless emotions when there were lives, particularly her children's, depending on her decisions. A sense of urgency rushed in, blending with the electric undercurrents of their dynamic. Jenna's mind raced. Her dream of launching the clinic was not just for herself. It was for the people in her community who needed it more than ever. They were counting on her unwavering commitment to their health and well-being. Could she merge this personal awakening with her professional aspirations? The conversation shifted, and Marcus posed a question that struck her deeply. "What holds you back from pursuing your dreams?" The sincerity in his voice seemed to slice through the fog of her doubt. She hesitated, grappling with the stark realities of her life. Fear, she finally admitted, feeling the weight of the confession. Fear of failing and disappointing others. Fear of chasing something that seems impossible. Marcus nodded knowingly, his gaze compassionate. "Your dreams are worth fighting for, Jenna. Don't let anyone dictate your choices or the course of your life." His encouragement sparked a flame of resolve within her. Why had she allowed the judgments of others to stifle her ambitions for so long? In that moment, she made an internal promise to reclaim her path, to step closer to her goals while not shying away from what stirred within her for him. Yet the complexities of reality loomed. How could she juggle both? What if her connection with Marcus became entangled with perceptions she wanted to escape? As she turned to leave, the weight of her decision pressed heavily on her chest. Walking away from Marcus felt wrong, but so did the idea of surrendering to uncertainty. She was at a crossroads, and the next steps she chose could redefine everything she envisioned. Behind her, she could hear Marcus calling out. The sound was both a tether and a challenge, a reminder that navigating the complexities of love and ambition needed to happen concurrently. She paused, her heart pounding, knowing she needed to confront not just her fears, but the very fabric of who she was destined to become. And as she looked back, an unexpected clarity pierced through her confusion. But with clarity came a new problem. The looming confrontation with the expectations she'd built her life around. Would she have the strength to defy them? Would she risk it all for the pursuit of love and her dream? Jenna stood at the edge of the shop parking lot, the sun dipping low beneath the horizon, casting long shadows that mirrored her internal conflict. The weight of her ambition tugged at her ankles, like the anchor she once feared would hold her back. Memories of late nights spent drafting plans for the clinic flooded her mind, each line infused with intention and hope. But now, here she was, floundering in the wake of an unexpected emotional storm set loose by a single conversation with Marcus. It was frighteningly exhilarating, but how could she reconcile this burgeoning desire with her meticulously constructed goals? Determined to confront her inner turmoil, she pulled out her phone, intending to set up a meeting with the city council to discuss her clinic, her safe harbor. But as her fingers hovered over the screen, she felt a pang of hesitation. Could she pour herself into the numbers, the spreadsheets, the network building? Or would thoughts of Marcus invade and distract? This was not just about her. This was the future of the community she hoped to serve. After a moment's hesitation, Jenna switched off her phone and took a deep breath. The cacophony of the evening surrounding her faded into an ambient hum as she replayed Marcus's words. "Your dreams are worth fighting for." His voice echoed in her mind. Why was the notion so simple, yet so profound? She pivoted away from the shop's entrance, walking with purpose toward the library nearby, a space that had been a refuge throughout her life. It had provided her shelter and sanctuary from every doubt she'd ever faced. She wanted to set herself up for success, and in that moment, Jenna resolved to prepare herself for the upcoming meeting instead of getting lost in the intoxicating allure of personal connections. Once inside, she found a secluded corner with a view of the cityscape. She spread out her notes, her focus sharpening. The graffitied walls of the shop and the laughter shared with Marcus faded into the background. As she scribbled down statistics and proposals, an idea ignited. What if she incorporated community workshops into her clinic proposal? This could draw people in, attach faces to the numbers, create a personal narrative that would resonate with local leaders. Yet, despite the bustling energy that infused her brainstorming, a flicker of unrest stirred beneath her newfound zeal. Was building the clinic all she desired? Or did she yearn for something beyond the ambitions she had defined solely for herself? The image of Marcus came back to her unbidden, a constant reminder that life's offerings were often multi-layered. Driven by a burgeoning sense of agency, Jenna began outlining a longer-term plan, one that could intertwine her professional goals with her newfound personal desires. She jotted down ideas for collaborative events where health awareness could be highlighted, alongside local mechanics showing children how to understand their vehicles. It was a revelation. It allowed Marcus's world to merge with hers, providing depth to her originally solitary vision. As the night stretched on and the library grew quieter, Jenna felt a swell of determination. Every scrabble of her pencil against paper felt cathartic, freeing her from the shackles of fear that had held her back for so long. A spark ignited in her, a solid conviction that she could embrace both her professional aspirations and the emotional connections forming around her. But even as promise entered her heart like a fresh breeze, the unease lingered. What if this path only increased the expectations? With time passing, she sensed that the public persona she had crafted might start to crumble under the expectations she had pinned on herself. With a kindling sense of excitement and uncertainty, Jenna leaned back in her chair, allowing herself to consider her next steps. Would she take the plunge to pursue this integrated vision, or would the whispers of doubt drown her resolve before she could even begin to transform her dreams into reality? The clock ticked on, and Jenna was left with an impending decision weighing heavily on her. She knew the time had come to face her fears, not just the looming deadlines, but her growing feelings for Marcus and how they could coexist with her aspirations. Would she have the courage to bridge these diverging paths? Jenna sat in the dim light of the library, surrounded by the comforting scent of old books and the ticking clock that punctuated her thoughts. Each tick felt like a countdown, reminding her that choices loom heavier with time. As she considered the intertwining of her ambitions with the emotions stirred by Marcus, a new tension quietly seeped into her resolve. The notes scattered across the table now felt alive, each figure representing a possibility, a life extended through her envisioned clinic. Yet Marcus's smile haunted her when she let her mind wander. Could her desire for connection compete with the clarity of her purpose? What did it mean to find intimacy in the harder edges of her professional journey? With a determined air, Jenna recommitted herself to her work. She adjusted her position at the table and grabbed her pen, stifling the whispers of doubt. She was aware that the proposal wasn't merely about logistics. It was a testament to her identity and the unwavering commitment she felt to the community. In dialogue with her desires, she began drafting a presentation that included her vision of workshops, spaces for open discussions, shared learning, and a bridge between her clinic and everyday lives. As the ink flowed, Jenna felt an unexpected lightness. Perhaps the fused paths of her personal and professional aspirations didn't lie in conflict, but coexistence. The clinic could be a safe space where stories converged, mechanics teaching children the nitty-gritty of car care, a nutritionist folding sessions, or even local artists sharing their craft. It would be a tapestry woven from community threads, where her increasingly appealing connection to Marcus added weight and warmth. However, self-doubt began to rear its head anew. Was she competent enough to juggle both worlds without sacrificing one for the other? The depth she wanted to achieve in her professional life often felt stiflingly solitary. The thought of involving Marcus in her dreams brought a familiar mixture of excitement and apprehension. Did she risk exposing herself to his potential rejection, or worse, the ridicule of her peers? She leaned back in her chair, balancing her sense of optimism against the fear of exposing every facet of her being. The vulnerability that could come with opening this dialogue not just with Marcus, but with her community. Each exploration of her dreams felt more raw and real. And yet, in the quiet corners of her mind, a certain thought persisted. What if Marcus didn't fit into her carefully crafted life? Each fleeting encounter sparked electricity, but brought with it the specter of failure lurking. Ready to confront this uncertainty, Jenna stood and paced the narrow aisle of the library. It was evident she needed to be honest with herself. She couldn't let fears dictate her future. She had to tell Marcus what she hoped to design, not just for the clinic, but for her life as well. The motion of her feet mirrored her desire. Forward, always forward. But as the library doors opened, flooding her in brightness, she hesitated. Could this honesty reshape her professional landscape? Would it fortify her dreams or pull them apart at the seams? Each step brought clarity, but also questions that echoed louder than before. Jenna paused at the threshold, her heart racing as she contemplated the leap ahead. Would she take this bold step towards combining her visions of love and ambition, or continue to walk the line of solitude in her pursuits? As she stepped outside, the night sky sprawled above her, a canvas of possibilities. The moon hung low, almost beckoning, urging her to chart a new course. Would this night lead her into a discussion with Marcus, or further into the shadows of her fears? The answer lingered just beyond her reach, tangible yet elusive, drawing her deeper into the intricate dance of her desires. Jenna stepped away from the threshold of the library, the rush of the outside world colliding with the intensity of her internal struggle. Cool air kissed her cheeks, invigorating yet shrouded in uncertainty. Each breath felt heavy, laden with potential decisions weighing down upon her. She moved forward, her mind racing through the possibilities that loomed ahead. At that moment, the street felt alive, a stark contrast to the comforting stillness of the library. Shouts from nearby cafes spilled out into the night, laughter resonating against the urban backdrop. But Jenna's focus was singular: Marcus. Weeks of fleeting glances, shared conversations, and moments that hovered between friendship and something deeper flooded her thoughts. The knowledge that she had to confront him churned in her stomach, tightening with every step away from the solitude of her refuge. Could she balance her aspirations and burgeoning feelings without self-sabotage? The duality gnawed at her as she walked, her speed quickening with determination. She had orchestrated every part of her professional life meticulously, yet the prospect of including Marcus felt like stepping onto uncharted territory where outcome was uncertain. It was enticing, yet terrifying. An unexpected surge of clarity lit within her. This wasn't merely about confessing her feelings to Marcus. It encapsulated her willingness to take risks, not just personally, but also professionally. What if his involvement could enhance her vision for the clinic, turning abstract ideas into shared realities? The workshops she envisioned could benefit from his fresh perspectives, bringing a dynamic that would breathe life into her plans. She felt a shift in her mindset. Fear had disguised itself as caution, but she began to see the potential of vulnerability as an asset rather than a liability. If she could open a dialogue with Marcus about her ambitions, couldn't she challenge him to bring his insights to the table as well? The thought fired her spirit, but also demanded a steadiness she wasn't sure she had. A bus roared past her, momentarily distracting her. Its headlights swept across her, illuminating an excerpt of her path, a metaphor that rung true. To move through the darkness, she needed to be bold, to illuminate her desires, even when shadows wanted to keep her ensnared. The more she considered it, the clearer her route appeared. This wasn't just about sharing her dreams with Marcus. It was about crafting a partnership that could enhance both their lives. Could they engage in dialogues that intertwined personal ambitions with professional aspirations? The blending of two distinct journeys was no longer a source of conflict, but a crossroads filled with promising possibilities. Arriving at the diner where she often saw him, Jenna's heart raced anew. She could see through the large glass window, the warm glow inside spilling out onto the chilly street. There he was, Marcus, laughing with a couple of friends at the counter, his relaxed demeanor contrasting sharply with her own internal turmoil. Taking a breath that steadied her resolve, Jenna pushed the door open, the jingling bell above announcing her arrival. The scent of coffee and fried food enveloped her, grounding her in the moment. His laughter, contagious and free, wrapped around her as if inviting her in. Would this be the moment to bridge her worlds, to embody both her personal truth and professional ambition in one grand gesture? As their eyes met across the room, the weight of everything she sought glimmered in his smile. But as she took a step forward, uncertainty bubbled anew. Would he embrace the vulnerability she was about to lay bare? Or would revelations push him away? With resolve hardening her stance, Jenna was ready to risk it all, her heart and her ambitions teetering on the edge of clarity or chaos. As she approached, the ambient noise faded, replaced by the relentless pounding of her heart echoing her choices. Would this exchange unveil a shared dream or shatter the fragile new path she had begun to envision? Jenna's footsteps quickened as she closed the distance, her mind racing with the implications of what she could say. With each stride, her thoughts cascaded. What might it mean for her professional life if she let this moment unfold? She pictured the clinic she had envisioned for so long, a space filled with creativity and collaboration, not just for her, but alongside someone whose insights could elevate it. The warm din of the diner enveloped her, contrasting sharply with the chilly uncertainty gnawing at her resolve. She steadied her breath, tasted the rich, roasted aroma of coffee swirling in the air, and allowed it to anchor her. As she neared the counter, Marcus glanced in her direction, his demeanor shifting from playful engagement with his friends to attentive wonder. "Hey, Jenna, come join us," he called, his voice radiating warmth. The invitation both soothed and stirred the whirlwind of emotions inside her. "Actually, can we talk?" she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. It was a declaration dressed in uncertainty. hinting at depths they hadn't yet explored together. Marcus caught the seriousness in her tone and nodded, waving off the playful banter of his friends for a moment that felt monumental. Together, they stepped away to a quieter corner, the bustling chatter around them fading into a backdrop of anticipation. "What's on your mind?" he asked, hands in his pockets, looking genuinely curious. That openness disarmed her, momentarily dulling the edge of her anxiety. Jenna hesitated, balancing the weight of her feelings with her professional ambitions. Every moment of silence amplified the stakes. Finally, she plunged into honesty. "I've been thinking about starting a clinic, a place focused on mental wellness and community engagement. I know it's a big dream, but—" His brow furrowed slightly, but there was no judgment, only attentiveness as he awaited her next breath. "I want to share this vision with you," she continued, feeling the vulnerable edge of her admission, "and I can't help but wonder if you might want to be a part of it." His expression was thoughtful, processing her words. "Jenna, that sounds incredible. I mean, I've seen your passion. But why involve me? What do I know about mental wellness?" His question cut deeper than she anticipated, triggering the self-doubt she was fighting to stave off. "It's not just about what you know. It's about how you see the world," she replied, fanning the flame of hope against her inner critic. "You've got a unique insight, and I think it could enrich what I want to create. More than that—" She faltered, her heart racing with the weight of what she was about to say. The boundary between professional aspirations and the burgeoning feelings she had for him blurred further. "I think we could collaborate in a way that combines your strengths with my vision." The tentative silence stretched between them, thick with possibility. For Jenna, the moment felt monumental, teetering on the edge of potential rejection or unexpected affirmation. His gaze softened, revealing layers of empathy and understanding that bolstered her confidence. "What if I apply my skills in community outreach?" he suggested slowly, an encouraging smile creeping in. "I might not know much about therapy, but I can connect people. What do you think?" A rush of relief washed over her. It wasn't just about his acceptance, it unveiled the path she had hoped for, a partnership where both their strengths would shine. "Exactly," she breathed, her excitement bubbling over. This was it. The bridge she craved had begun to form between their lives. But even as her enthusiasm bloomed, the collision of her personal life and ambitious dreams loomed ominously. Could they maintain the balance between friendship, collaboration, and the emerging feelings she could no longer deny? The reality that they might navigate uncharted waters together sent her heart racing again, yet amidst the uncertainty, a thrill of possibility ignited within her. Just as she felt the weight of the conversation shift in their favor, an unexpected holler erupted from his friends across the diner, shattering the fragile moment. Both Jenna and Marcus turned towards the laughter, the carefree energy contrasting strongly with the profound exchange they had just initiated. "Looks like they need you back," she said, trying to ground herself even as her heart pounded with mounting questions. As Marcus turned back to her, there was something resolute in his expression. "I'd like to hear more about this clinic. When can we meet?" "Tomorrow," Jenna hastily replied, her mind racing with various approaches and ideas. She would refine her vision, intertwine their aspirations for a shared future, and ensure their personal journey didn't overshadow the professional one blossoming between them. With a smile that promised collaboration, Jenna felt the echoes of potential reverberate through her. But another concern festered in the back of her mind. Would their plans withstand the scrutiny of outside opinions? Jenna's heart pounded as she realized their conversation had only scratched the surface of what lay ahead. The rhythm of their new partnership would engage every aspect of both their lives, entwining vulnerability with ambition in ways they could scarcely foresee. What would happen tomorrow when ambition collided with desire, and their worlds intertwined in ways neither of them anticipated? Jenna left the diner with the weight of their conversation nestled heavily on her shoulders, yet buoyed by the adrenaline of possibility. The next day loomed ahead, ripe with potential decisions that could reshape the very fabric of her professional journey. She felt the pulsing rhythm of a future waiting to be molded, but doubt whispered reminders of the ground they were about to tread. As night fell, her mind whirled with ideas for the clinic, mapping out initial concepts like a conductor sketching the notes of a symphony. She envisioned spaces dedicated to therapy, art, community gatherings, and workshops. Each visionary thread seemed to pull tighter as her excitement surged. However, shadows of concern snaked through her mind. What if the partnership with Marcus revealed flaws in her plan? What if their professional collaboration unraveled the personal connection they were nurturing? The next morning, Jenna's anticipation folded into a tight ball of anxiety. She arrived early at the small coffee shop they had agreed upon, ordering an herbal tea to steady her frazzled nerves. The cafe buzzed with patrons, yet Jenna felt cocooned in her own world, replaying their last conversation. What would it look like to share her dreams with him? Would he see the depth behind her ambition, or would he view it solely as a means to an end? A sudden clang of the doorbell pulled Jenna from her thoughts. There was Marcus, appearing slightly disheveled, yet undeniably magnetic. He approached with a casual air that reminded her how easy it was to connect with him, yet today seemed different. Today bore the weight of aspirations, and she sensed an unspoken challenge that hung between them. "Hey, Jenna," he greeted, filtering in warmth with a lopsided smile. The mere sight of him propelled a jolt of determination through her veins. Today was about mutual growth, about taking those first yet crucial steps together. "Thanks for coming," she replied, her heart racing. "I've spent the night thinking about how we can create a model that integrates your outreach skills with my vision for therapy and support." "I'm all ears," he said, settling at the small table, his eyes reflecting curiosity. Jenna plunged into her ideas, weaving through visions of group therapy sessions, songwriting workshops, art displays, creative expressions that fostered community and connection. The more she spoke, the more she felt her own belief system solidify. It marked a transformational shift, turning pinioned dreams into actionable goals. As they sketched out ideas on napkins, she noticed how naturally their discussion flowed. There was a rhythmic synergy that felt made for collaboration. Yet amidst the burgeoning partnership, she had to confront the chilling question lurking beneath the surface. Would they be able to navigate the complexities of their relationship? Or would the expectations of those around them snuff the flame of their partnership before it truly ignited? "Okay, but let's tackle a more practical barrier," Marcus interjected, leaning forward. "How are we going to fund this? You know it's a dream, but dreams need resources." The focus shifted, the urgency of reality settling like a fog. Jenna took a breath, her strategy evolving in real time. "We could look into local grants aimed at mental health initiatives, or even partnerships with businesses that align with our mission. Plus," she hesitated, the weight of the moment heavy on her shoulders, pushing back against the urge to retreat. "I could start a crowdfunding campaign. People are more than willing to support mental health advancements." His eyes sparkled with unexpected enthusiasm. "That's not a bad idea at all. It levels the playing field for everyone involved. But we need to frame it right," he responded, his positivity fueling her resolve. They continued to brainstorm potential outreach programs and fundraisers, breaking their larger vision into digestible pieces. Yet, as focused as she felt, the persistence of her own vulnerability remained tethered tight in her chest. The very real fear that they might not just be building a clinic together, but might also be breaking the newfound closeness that had begun to blossom between them, swirled in her mind. There was so much at stake, and each decision felt heavy with consequence. "Jenna," he suddenly broke in, his tone shifting to something deeper. "What if our collaboration isn't just about business? What if it leads somewhere more personal? I mean, can it? Her heart fluttered at the suggestion, paralyzing her instincts just for a moment. If they pursued this partnership without addressing the emotional currents, would that put them on a path to ruin? Ambiguity blurred the lines they were starting to establish. I don't know, she replied softly. But I think we need to be clear about what we want from this, both professionally and personally. The reality of their intertwined lives loomed large, and with that, Jenna's determination to face these complexities head-on solidified. She would not shy away from what was growing between them, nor from her ambition to create something significant. She would set boundaries that would protect both. As they wrapped up their session, their eyes locked, unspoken questions hanging in the air like the tantalizing scent of the coffee wafting around them. Tomorrow would hold truths they weren't yet prepared to face. But in the balance of ambition and desire, there was no turning back now. What would they do when they found themselves at the precipice of their dual pursuit? And would their partnership endure the testing challenges that awaited them? Jenna entered her apartment, the door clicking shut behind her, as the vibration of the day echoed in her thoughts. She stood still for a moment, absorbing the quiet around her, sheltering the promise of something new blossoming inside. The gravity of her connection with Marcus eclipsed her earlier anxieties, and her heart raced as she began to strategize the path ahead. Fueled by a blend of ambition and unexpected emotion, Jenna settled onto her worn-out couch, determined to rally her thoughts. She grabbed a thick notebook from the coffee table. The pages within were filled with half-formed ideas and sketches from the months when her vision first took flight. Now, though, the potential of partnership with Marcus shifted everything. Their collaboration could transform abstract dreams into palpable reality, but she needed clarity on where they both stood. Thoughts spiraled around the recent conversation. The ambiguity of their relationship seemed more pronounced than ever. Could she transcend her previous reservations? As she considered their visions aligned under a common goal, a question emerged. Could their union, both personal and professional, withstand the unpredictable terrain they were yet to traverse? Grabbing a pen, Jenna opened the notebook. The first task was to map their goals distinctly, separating the personal from the professional within the same intertwining narrative. A column on the left boldly read Professional Goals. Under it, she scratched out points. Establish community outreach programs, secure funding through grants, launch a crowdfunding campaign. It was exhilarating to see her thoughts materialized, yet she felt a throbbing tension building under her skin. Then, with a deep breath, she flipped the page and penned Personal Considerations. Here lay potential pitfalls, the unknowns that her heart whisper-screamed about, navigating the emotional depth of their partnership without jeopardizing their aspirations. This was vulnerability laid bare, a raw acknowledgement of the might-be repercussions of their intimacy. What is it that Marcus truly wanted? Could he separate the two worlds as neatly as she hoped to? The stark contrast of her professional ambitions and personal fears daunted her. If they agreed to establish boundaries, would those limits suffocate the warmth she felt brimming between them? Setting the notebook aside, Jenna paced the room with an intensity fueled by contemplation. She needed to amend her strategy, not just for their work goals, but also for ensuring their mutual emotional honesty through whatever potential turbulence lay ahead. Confronting her fears meant drawing Marcus into these discussions, but would he even want to? Her phone buzzed, a message lighting up the screen, a simple question from Marcus. Thoughts on what we should tackle tomorrow? Her pulse quickened. This was her chance to open the line. She hesitated, deliberating on how to phrase her thoughts, weighing the impact of each syllable. Then she began to tap. I think we need to talk about boundaries, both for our project and ourselves. A moment later, she pressed send, the weight of uncertainty lingering thick as she paused, biting her lip. Marcus's response came almost instantly. Absolutely. I've been thinking the same. Let's meet at our usual spot. She felt a surge of relief, as if a crack veined across the heavy burden of doubt. Tomorrow would bring clarity, or perhaps stir more questions. Either way, she was determined to face the reality head-on, both in her vision and in her heart. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jenna settled back onto the couch, contemplating the shifting landscape of her life. This calculated risk of stepping beyond platonic ideals could provoke emotional upheaval. But wasn't that the essence of true partnership? Navigating the profound possibilities of love, intertwined with a shared mission, would demand courage, fortitude, and above all, unyielding honesty. Would she have the strength to draw those lines, to embrace both aspects of her life without letting them collapse into chaos? The night stretched long before dawn, leaving Jenna poised on the edge of hope and uncertainty, questioning what the future would hold, ready for the next step, wherever it might lead. The sun crested over the horizon, bathing Jenna's apartment in golden light, signaling a new day filled with promises and tensions alike. She paced before the mirror, staring at her reflection, which mirrored her anxiety and determination. Today would be pivotal, not only for their project, but also for the undefined territory of her relationship with Marcus. After a hasty shower, she dressed with intention. Each piece of clothing felt like armor against the vulnerability she feared to confront. Dark jeans paired with a tailored blouse. A statement necklace, a gift from her mother, hung around her neck, grounding her with its weight. Deep breaths evolved into a mantra: clarity and honesty, clarity and honesty. Stepping out into the world felt surreal, an electric hum coursing through her. Jenna arrived at their meeting spot, a vibrant cafe bustling with morning energy. Through the busy ambiance, she spotted Marcus, seated at their usual table. He was engrossed in his phone, seemingly unaware of her arrival. For a moment, she admired the way the sunlight played against his features, solidifying her resolve. "Hey," she called out, pulling him from the distraction of the screen. His eyes lit up, a warm smile illuminating his face as he stood to greet her. "Good morning. I was just thinking about our plans. Did you have time to sketch out some ideas?" "Yeah, I did. But first, I think we need to talk about how we're going to work together, what boundaries we should set." The words tumbled out before she could second-guess herself. Marcus nodded, his expression shifting to one of seriousness. "Absolutely. I've been thinking about that too. It's crucial, especially given, well, everything else." He gestured between them, a subtle acknowledgement of their complicated dynamic. They settled into their seats, the aroma of coffee swirling around them. Jenna pulled out her notebook, opening it to the neatly penned lists of goals. The page seemed to unite their aspirations, yet lingering fears clouded her clarity. "Let's start with the professional goals," she suggested, exhaling to steady her nerves.
I have ideas on how we can tackle the outreach program, streamline funding applications, and how to market our vision effectively. Marcus leaned closer, his fingers interlaced with hers over the table. "These plans are solid, Jenna, but I want us to be transparent. If there are things bothering you or risks we face because of us, we have to discuss them openly, no secrets." Jenna felt the urgency in his words, resonating in the silence of the cafe. This was the moment their emotional connection could either elevate their partnership or send it spiraling. What if those conversations get uncomfortable? What if we uncover things we wish to avoid? His gaze intensified, digging deeper into her soul. "Then we understand each other better. Relationships, no matter the kind, require honesty to flourish." She hesitated, confronting the fears lurking just beneath the surface. "I'm scared, Marcus. Sharing ideas is one thing, but sharing feelings, our personal investments, what if it goes wrong?" His gaze intensified, digging deeper into her soul. "Then we understand each other better. Relationships, no matter the kind, require honesty to flourish." She hesitated, confronting the fears lurking just beneath the surface. "I'm scared, Marcus. Sharing ideas is one thing, but sharing feelings, our personal investments, what if it goes wrong?" A brief silence settled between them. Jenna read the conflict in Marcus's eyes. A flicker of uncertainty mirrored her own. Relationships diverge into many paths. The risk is part of the journey. I genuinely care about our mission and you. We can't let fear dictate our choices. His words rippled through her, igniting a spark of courage she had held dormant for too long. You're right. We need to acknowledge our relationship for what it is. Not just friends, but something deeper with its own dynamics. With a newfound resolve, Jenna unrolled a strategy grounded in both professionalism and sincerity. They began outlining their project, punctuated with moments of laughter and shared dreams. But underneath the surface, each idea was laced with unspoken words, a lingering question spiraling around them. How would they navigate the emotional landscape of their intertwined lives? The conversation shifted seamlessly, yet Jenna's heart raced under the weight of her admission. What if opening these floodgates would drown them both? As their meeting drew to a close and they prepared to leave, Marcus's hand brushed against hers. Let's not shy away from discussing everything from here on out, okay? Jenna nodded, urgency flooding through her. But the deeper implications of their emotional intertwining haunted her. Promise, she whispered, a genuine commitment laced with tension. And as they exited into the bustling world outside, Jenna felt an internal shift, a delicate balance teetering between hope and dread. The prospect of what lay ahead loomed heavy, shaping her thoughts as if they were pushing against a fragile glass. What uncharted waters would they drift into next? And would their partnership weather the turbulence awaiting them as they ventured further into their relationship? Jenna stood at the threshold of her potential, poised to transform not only her professional aspirations, but her entire perception of self.
The intense conversations with Marcus had ignited something within her, a recognition that breaking through personal barriers was essential for the success of both her clinic and her evolving relationship. Her heart raced as she envisioned the path ahead. Today was the day to confront those fears head-on. In the following days, Jenna threw herself into her plans with unparalleled fervor. She poured every ounce of energy into refining the clinic's vision, actively pursuing community buy-in and gathering resources. The cafe meetings with Marcus became less about uncertainty and more about laying the foundation for a tangible project. Their collaboration evolved, interweaving personal ambitions and professional goals in a way that felt exhilarating. With Marcus by her side, Jenna approached local businesses and organizations, presenting her vision not just as a single mother's dream, but as a community imperative. She drafted proposal after proposal, tirelessly seeking out grants that aligned with their mission. The more responsive the community became, the more she realized that her vision resonated with the very people who had questioned her ambitions. Comments from fellow mothers who found hope in her commitment fueled her resolve. Weeks turned into months, and they were steadily making progress. The momentum gained from public interest transformed their aspirations into a reality she once thought unreachable. While her clinic blossomed into a collective manifestation of ambition, the insecurities that gripped her early on began to fade. Experimenting with their dynamic became crucial, not just to the clinic's success, but to their relationship. In moments of collaboration, laughter filled the air as they exchanged ideas powered by a shared purpose. They established boundaries transparently, opting to communicate what worked for them both personally and professionally. It was not merely about synergy, it was about understanding. This new framework of honesty brought unique clarity. Each conversation paved the way for revelations in both their careers and hearts. Over time, Jillian found a solid confidence emerging from the depths of vulnerability. One particularly gratifying afternoon, she recognized her clinic was selected to receive a significant grant. Her hard work paying off and validation inching closer. When she shared the news with Marcus, they embraced tightly, the celebration poised between camaraderie and something deeper. After basking in the excitement of their achievements, Jenna leaned into the emotion she could no longer ignore. Their partnership had grown from mutual respect to genuine affection, something undeniable and invigorating. One evening, under the glow of fairy lights strung outside the clinic's future site, Jenna looked into Marcus's eyes and let her heart speak. "I think we've created something beautiful together," she breathed, words flowing freely. "You've inspired me beyond what I fought to achieve alone."
His smile spread wide, illuminating the space between them. "We did this together, Jenna. That's what makes this all the more special." As weeks unfolded, Jenna nurtured their burgeoning relationship alongside her professional goals. The connections they fostered together were profound. Her dreams were no longer isolated ambitions weighed down by fear. Embracing this strength empowered her further. Her aspirations became clearer, intertwined effortlessly with love and partnership. Though their journey held challenges, the two navigated discussions with maturity and compassion. Jenna felt sincere pride in their open communication, even when contrasting needs emerged. Together, they learned to reaffirm personal boundaries while letting their vulnerability guide them. Blossoming in parallel, the dynamic they nurtured was authentic and secure. Eventually, the grand opening of the clinic approached, a culmination of resilience, advocacy, and collaboration. The day stood as a celebration of not just a shared vision, but the formidable bond they'd cultivated. As the doors swung wide to welcomed guests, Jenna looked out at the community who stood behind her, a sense of belonging enveloping her like a warm embrace. With Marcus beside her, she radiated confidence and competence. Those who once cast doubt now cheered for the change they brought to the town. The ceremony reinforced her transformation, from a woman shackled by fear to a leader driven by purpose. Deep satisfaction radiated in every aspect of her budding career. The once hidden warmth blossomed into an undeniable partnership. They recognized that true fulfillment emerged not just from individual methods of success, but from the ability to share each journey along the way. As the clinic opened its doors to the community, Jenna understood that she had achieved something formidable. By intertwining love and ambition, not only had she conquered her fears, but she'd also reshaped her identity altogether, respecting the deepest corner of herself while embracing a profound relationship. Jenna smiled as she contemplated all she had managed to accomplish through courage and vulnerability. She stood, feeling the thrill of possibilities that awaited. In this moment, she no longer felt torn or confined. She was whole, both as a professional and as a partner. She now personified what it meant to embrace life fully, delightfully discovering that in achieving her dreams, she had also found unexpected love, entwined through every step of her journey. Time to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending below. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let's spread hope and inspiration together.